Congress returned to work, and they're getting down to business, and we thought it'd be a good day to have Susan Ferrechio from the Washington Examiner on because she follows everything that goes on Capitol Hill. She is a font of knowledge about the Hill. Susan, how are you this morning?
I'm great, you guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, I want to start out because I still am just stunned, shocked, and amazed when I hear what the Speaker of the House said about other Republicans the other day when he's back in his home district.
I don't know whether we're going to get to it this year or not. I think we should, but the appetite amongst my colleagues for doing this is not real good. And this guy's back here with a camera, but here's the attitude. Oh, don't make me do this. Oh, this is too hard. You should hear him.
That's John Boehner talking about Republicans unwilling to go into the issue of immigration reform, but he's basically mocking members of his own caucus in a very disparaging way. Is there going to be any blowback from the Speaker of the House about this, Susan?
Well, first of all, we'll probably hear a little bit more this morning. The Republicans are going to caucus. This is their private weekly meeting, and I'm sure there'll be discussion about that. But, you have to remember, guys, that when members go home to their districts, they often say disparaging things about Congress. Congress has really low approval ratings. So to go back to your district and say, oh, that Congress, they can't get anything done, you're the, you portray yourself as the outsider. These guys understand that that's all part of the game.
But this is different. This is different, isn't it, though? Because he's really knocking his own caucus, his own members, and he's doing it in sort of a very disparaging way.
Yeah, and he's done that with us before, with the press, the difficulty he's had getting his conference together on things. But you're right about one thing. Here's what's a little bit different about it this time. This issue of immigration, it's not just any old bill. For some Republicans, this is about the heart and soul of the party here, this debate over immigration. And it's so important to them. And the outcome is so critical. If they pass comprehensive immigration reform, a lot of Republicans think this could be the end of the party. So this is a very serious matter. Because, they might lose Texas.
It is.
We've already seen reports, everybody knows that the numbers could really shift around if we bring in more likely Democratic voters, what it could do to jobs, what it could do to the economy, what it could do to our budget in the long term, letting in more folks here who will require more entitlement and more services. This is a big deal. So to have the Speaker get out there and kind of mock their view on it, you've got not only the Tea Party group in Congress that he's talking about, there are many veteran members who don't want comprehensive immigration reform to go forward, and he's talking about them as well. It's not going to sit well with them.
Susan Ferrechio, I just want a quick follow-up on this. When you say, congressmen constantly go back to their districts and they sort of do this kind of thing and make fun of Congress, specifically to leadership. In all the many years, Susan Ferrechio, that you've been covering Congress, I'm just kidding, it's not that many years. I don't want to make it sound
It actually is, but okay.
Did you ever hear Nancy Pelosi or Steny Hoyer or Harry Reid or Chuck Schumer? They always close ranks. They never criticize their own caucus, from what I can remember. There's never these factions, are there?
Well, not in the way that Boehner kind of jokes around a little more about. He's more sarcastic of all the leaders I've seen. Nancy Pelosi has sort of a dry sense of humor, but she definitely knew the limits of trying to get her caucus together on things and the difficulties. But I think I know that Boehner's going to have to do some explaining. Let's just put it that way. That people are going to say, look, and the people this really affects, you guys, that can really be a problem for him. Let's fast forward to January 2015, okay, when we're going to have to vote for a new speaker. You assume the Republicans maintain control of the House. That's the forecast. There's going to be a bunch of guys there and women who are going to be like, you know what, we're just tired of him. And they need them desperately because you need the majority of the entire House to pick the Speaker. Yeah. So he doesn't have a lot of wiggle room there. He doesn't have a lot of room to alienate people. So a comment like this, not maybe the best idea.
Let's get to some other pieces of legislation. It looks like Harry Reid has an agenda. He wants to extend unemployment and raise the minimum wage. Meanwhile, in the House, if there is an agenda, it's to go after Lois Lerner on contempt charges and to try to push Keystone Pipeline through. Not a whole lot of middle ground there between the two sides of Congress.
I call it a substance versus style agenda. This is not really a substantive agenda for either house because, let's face it, none of this stuff is ever going to be signed into law. Maybe unemployment insurance. I see a possibility where the House might be willing to negotiate there. But minimum wage today, or Wednesday rather, we're looking at a vote in the Senate. They're not even going to make cloture on that because Republicans aren't going to give them the 60 votes they need.
And that's sort of my next question. We really probably, by and large, should ignore about 85-90% of what happens on Capitol Hill right now because it's not really aimed at this point in an election year. It's not really aimed at solving problems. It's aimed at creating issues, is it not?
Well, it's aimed at generating excitement in each respective party base. For the Democrats, it's about, they're calling it this fairness agenda, fair shot agenda. So the minimum wage won't pass, but they can use it as they have admitted.
But they do this knowing it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
each side does it, right?
Yes, each side does it, but they believe it's justified because if it can generate excitement in the base, then one side or the other can prevail in the election, and then you can have a Republican-dominated Congress and start moving your agenda forward. They're looking at it in the long term, not the short term.
Yeah, I mean, it's only irrelevant if you merely look at Congress as a legislative body that is there to pass laws. But if you're looking,
you mean like the Constitution suggests?
Well, no, but we are in the middle of a midterm. It's very important.
I don't have any patience for that.
What they put forth and get people on the record to vote no on or vote yes on is very instructive, I think, for the voters, and that's what they're trying to do.
That's right. Pay attention to the Wednesday vote on minimum wage.
So you just go around in circles and you call for votes, and nothing ever gets accomplished. And this is what irritates people about our Congress.
Oh, I think people don't like it when things do get accomplished out of this Congress because that's what bothers them.
A little of both.
Well, but I mean, let's go to that for a minute because one of those issues is Keystone. I mean, with the Senate hanging in the balance, it is very critical to see how certain senators come down on Keystone, is it not, Susan Ferrechio? This could have huge ramifications, even though it's not going anywhere.
No, it's not going anywhere. But look at you've got the Alaska race, which is certainly very pivotal right now. Mark Begich, Democrat. People who are just support the idea of domestic energy production. Many Democratic senators do, and so it's a huge issue.
Louisiana, Ohio, not Ohio's not in play this year, but
certainly Louisiana,
North Carolina,
and North Carolina, all of these places. This is a very important issue, and I think obviously you're going to see members. Look, Harry Reid is the majority leader of the Senate. He is going to do the best he can to keep these vulnerable Democrats from being put on the spot with votes like this. So that's one thing to also keep in mind. It's all going to be about protecting turf in the Senate.
All right.
They only need to lose a few seats to lose their majority, and they've got a few months left here. There's only 9 weeks, guys, between now and the next recess, and then after that, you're headed to the
heat of the election. Yeah,
that's right.
And then they're out of here. It's
Susan,
not a lot of time.
We got to roll. Sorry, Susan Ferrechio, Washington Examiner. Thanks for joining us.